In this lesson, we will identify one-to-one functions and compare one-to-one function to regular functions. One-to-one functions. Recall the vertical line test is a test that can be used to determine whether a relation is a function or not. All you have to do is draw a vertical line through your graph, or if you have ordered pair points, draw a line through your points. And if you touch the graph or points in only one point, then it is a graph of a function, such as in the first example. It doesn't matter where we draw a line, we're only going to touch that graph in one point, so therefore that is the graph of a function. Let's take a look at the second example. So if we draw a vertical line through that graph, notice we touch or intersected that graph in 2 points. And as soon as you touch or intersect in more than 1 point, then it is not the graph of a function. Now, one thing you'll notice about a graph that is a function is that it does not contain two of the same x values. And that is the thing that will violate the vertical line test, is if it has two of the same x values. So let's take a look at that second example. So if I move over 3 and up 1, 2, 3, I touch. So that ordered pair would be 3, 3. If I move over 3 and down 3, that ordered pair would be 3, negative 3. So I have two of the same x values, and to pass the vertical line test, you cannot have two of the same x values. Now let's discuss a one-to-one function. In a one-to-one function, each x value corresponds to only one y value, and each y value corresponds to only one x value. So with this function, it is actually the total opposite of a regular function. You cannot have two of the same y values, because as soon as you realize that you have two of the same y values, then it is not a one-to-one function. So in the first example here, in terms of ordered pair, we have 1, 6, 2, 7, when we also have 3, 7. So even though the x values were different, the y values were the same, and you cannot have two of the same y values. The other ones were fine, 4, 8, and 5, 9, but this is what violated the function to where it is not a one-to-one function. And in the second example, we have 1 paired with 5, and we have 2, 7, 3, 6, 4, 8. So there are no violations there. Each of the y values are only paired once with each x value. So that is an example of a one-to-one function. Okay, so here's the reason why you can't have two of the same y values. It's because it will fail the horizontal line test. And the horizontal line test is a test that you will perform if you want to know if a function is a one-to-one function. So if you draw or sketch a horizontal line through your graph, and if it intersects in no more than 1 point, then it is the graph of a one-to-one function. So let's look at the first example here. So I'm going to begin by drawing a few horizontal lines. So here I just drew one line. It doesn't matter. Already I really don't need to draw any others because it has intersected that graph in several places. Now, although if I draw a line up at the very top or the bottom, I will only intersect it once, but there is a point on the graph to where it does intersect more than once. So therefore, it is not a one-to-one function. Let's take a look at the second example. So if we draw a horizontal line through that graph, will we intersect it in more than one point? No. It is only going to intersect at one point, and it doesn't matter where I draw that horizontal line. It will only touch or intersect once. So therefore, the second example is an example of a one-to-one function because it does pass the horizontal line test. And there you have it, the horizontal line test. Okay, let's compare the differences between a regular function and a one-to-one function. So a regular function, all you have to do is draw a vertical line or do what is called a vertical line test to determine whether it is or is not a function. And again, recall that if it intersects that graph in only one point or no more than one point, then it is the graph of a regular function. To determine whether it is a one-to-one function, you would then draw a horizontal line through that graph. So if we draw a horizontal line through this graph, we see that it will intersect this graph in more than one point, so therefore it would not be a one-to-one function. Let's take a look at the second example. We're going to first perform the vertical line test to determine whether it is a function. So if we do the vertical line test, notice we have already intersected that graph in more than one point. So therefore, that is not a function. However, if we do the horizontal line test, we will only touch or intersect the graph in one point. So therefore, it is a one-to-one function. So just a recap, with a regular function, you cannot have two x values. For a one-to-one function, you cannot have two of the same y values. And there you have it, a function versus a one-to-one function. Okay, this is for you to do a little practice. I want you to look at both A, B, C, and D and indicate to me whether the graph that is sketched is the graph of a one-to-one function. So recall, if you're in doubt, all you have to do is do a horizontal line test, and if it touches or intersects in no more than one point, then it is a one-to-one function. So you'll just simply tell me yes or no. So starting with A, would you say that is a one-to-one function? If you said yes, that is correct. It passes the horizontal line test. How about B? And if you said no, you are correct. It is not a one-to-one function. Each x value does not correspond to a different y value. Okay, so you have two of the same y values for this particular function. That's why it fails the horizontal line test. How about C? If you said yes, that is correct. And D? Yes, you've done D before. That is correct as well. And there you have it, a one-to-one function.